Hi everybody, this is Diane. I am here to show you these two shoe journals. I made a video once of these completed journals, but since I made the video, I got locked out of my Google accounts, which means I can't access my emails or my YouTube channel. So I was unable to upload the video, and I specifically mentioned when these videos or when these journals would be available. And that day is past, so I'm redoing it. And I still can't get in to my YouTube. I'm still waiting for codes to be sent to my daughter's email because I can't get into mine. And that's just on top of other stresses I've been dealing with. So I don't really feel like making videos anyway. But I want to get this one done so that when I can get into my YouTube, I can put the video up and get these in my shop. I can put them in my shop. I just can't put the video up showing them. And maybe they would sell if I just put them in my shop, but I want to do a flip through. So it's enough feeling sorry for myself. I'm just going to go through these journals with you. These are the vintage shoe themed journals. This one is called Stride. I stamped that word and then put it behind one of the Tim Holtz ornate book plates. The cover is made with a file folder as the base, and then this beautiful upholstery fabric, I suppose that's what it is. It's just so pretty. And I used a few digitals for embellishments, not pages, but Mrs. Coggs and the Old Design Shop and my own. So this is a Mrs. Coggs image, and it's backed with some layers of lace and this beautiful, beautiful piece of trim that I got from Sheila Gingrich at Boho Daydreams. A couple of little doily motifs and a button there. I put this beautiful fringe at the bottom. I know it's dark in here. Maybe it would help if I turn that light on. We're having a cloudy, rainy day, and we're supposed to get snow tonight. It is March 31st, so from March 31st into April 1st, we're supposed to have 4 to 6 inches of snow. We'll see if that happens. I put some lace on the edge here and added this piece from an old necklace, which I hung onto a bulb pin. And there is some seam binding here to tie it closed. The inside is covered with a heavy muslin. And there's a double pocket right here with a piece of graphic 45 paper, and this is an actual vintage piece from one of my antique catalogs. I backed it with cardstock and made it into a little tuck spot here. I think this one is Old Design Shop. Some of hers and Mrs. Coggs are similar, so I'm not sure about all of them. But I will link them both below, so I'm not going to try to specify. I'll point out mine because I'm pretty sure which ones mine are. This is a tag that I made, and there's a video of this. I got that up there before I got locked out of my account. This is one of the Tim Holtz worn wallpaper pieces from his new set. And I just trimmed a little bit off, and I made 2 of them because I have 2 journals. So this is the piece that I trimmed off of the other one. I just sewed it on there as a little decorative piece, and this is again a piece from my vintage catalog. Another piece of braid. I think that came from Germany, or I mean Switzerland. And this is one of the cut pieces, the die cut pieces that comes with the new worn wallpaper set. And I made this little tab. So that's a pretty little journaling card. I did some stenciling on the back. So here we have a planner page. I think it's from the 1980s, so it's not that old, but it has this nice not white color, which I liked. I added this sticker from the Antiquities sticker book and a pretty piece of vintage lace. This is from, I have several book pages in here. I mean, pages from several books. This is from a museum, a fashion museum book, and this museum is in Japan. So these are the toe part of these antique shoes. And on this side, there's a mannequin with an embroidered stocking and a shoe, antique shoe. And there's a digital, and this is one of my digitals. I did some stitching on the edge of the page. This is from a Happy Mail. Someone backed a lot of shoe images onto cardstock for me and sent them to me in a Happy Mail. So I used some of them in these vintage journals, and I'll use some in the other ones I'm going to make, and I'll give you a sneak peek of those. This is Mrs. Coggs, a pair of worn work boots. And I don't think this one's mine. I have some similar, but so do Mrs. Coggs and Old Design Shop. This came from the Old Design Shop, I do know that, and I made a paper clip out of it, and this one is one of mine. The paper that it's clipped to is a coffee dyed page from a guest book. So it's got lines you can write on. There's a piece of stationery. This is just a piece of Graphic 45 paper. And this is a very, very old cloth measuring tape and a piece of crochet trim behind it and a button. And I hand sewed this on, and I covered the stitches on the back. You can see some of the stitches there. I left them showing. But where the knots are and stuff, I put this vintage crochet trim there. This is from Mrs. Coggs, Cinderella, trying on her shoe. It's just a card here, attached with a paper clip with some seam binding. There are several paper clips with seam binding, so you can see that at the top. Gives it a little bit of fluff. This is a silver rub-on. A piece of vellum with a very subtle design and another sticker of a shoe. And I think that's from the Old Design Shop. And there's a little bit of lace and a button. Little small piece of stationery that I got in a Happy Mail. And this journal card. This is a piece of gift wrap that I got in a Happy Mail. And on the side of it, I just stitched a piece of sari ribbon and a little scrap of paper and this really beautiful trim that also came from Sheila. And there's a bulb pin with a little bead on it. This just came out of one of my books about shoes. There's another paperclip shoe, and this one is in my, is it an original? I think that's an original piece. So that's a vintage piece right there. And I think that's Old Design Shop. I said I wasn't going to try to do that. So I'm going to read you the quotes that I cut out of the book called Where Will This Shoe Take You? The quotes were very interesting. The December 1860 Godey's Ladies Book was able to report, from Mr. Bowden of the shoe department, we learned that thick walking boots for ladies are universal this winter, and no one will be required by elegance or fashion to shiver along in thin soles. I thought that was really nice of Mr. Bowden to allow the ladies to have thick boots in the winter. This is a piece of stationery that's similar to that other one, but this one has a fibrous paper and it's got the burgundy and gold. Another guest book page and some ribbon here, just a little scrap of coffee dyed tracing paper. This is from a kid's book, like one of those kind of an encyclopedia type of book about a specific era or something like that. I like those books. They have lots of pictures in them. But this is about boots and sandals and shoes, and it talks about how they evolved. And here is a Mrs. Coggs image and another one, and one of mine. There's another card there with a paper clip. This is from a children's book about our town, and it had chapters on different jobs of people from the town. And there were a couple pages about the shoe store. So there's the man in the shoe store reaching up to get a box of shoes. And the story, part of the story is here for you to look at. The other page went into the other book. There's vintage lace here and another piece of pattern paper. This is from a vintage catalog. It's an antique piece. Sticker. This was one of the book pages, and I covered this side of it, which did not have any shoes, with this Prima ledger paper. And there's some shoes on that side. Mrs. Cog's shoe up there. This is coffee dyed paper. And a piece of ribbon, again, stitched to the edge of the page. There's the man on the stool getting the shoes. This is a shoe sole shaped piece that has just phrases that have to do with feet or shoes, such as shoestring budget, walk a mile in his shoes, he's back on his feet, I have 2 left feet, put your foot down, stand on your own 2 feet, dancing on air, etc. There were 2 of those side by side in the book, so I just put one in each journal. There's that kid's book again. Some cheesecloth there and a button. Just made a little side tuck here with a piece of velvet ribbon, 2 pieces sewn together. This came from a word list book. And it says boot black, booted, and booty, and shoe in parentheses. This came from one of my books. You can read, I stitched across the caption, but you can read it. There's a little bit of trim here and a caption from the book, Where Will This Shoe Take You? And that's what it says. Where will this shoe take you? Made a paper clip out of this image. And there's a journaling card. This one's from my shop. This one is just glued down. Once, she reportedly returned a brand new pair of delicate slippers to the shoemaker after discovering a small hole. Ah, I see your problem, the shoemaker replied. Madame, you have walked in them. So I know that book talked about how in a certain period the shoes, ladies' shoes were so uncomfortable, but they weren't expected to walk in them. They were too delicate to walk. Here's an image from my shop, and then this one on a paper clip. This came from a book. I adhered it to a vellum that has, it looks like it has pressed flowers in it. And then this is a page from the book, Where Will This Shoe Take You? These are called Chopin's cork. 300 years ago, the woman who wore these cork chopines covered in white leather added a whopping 7 1/2 inches to her height. I thought they looked oriental, but wealthy women in Venice, a city of canals and boats, seldom walked anywhere. So they began wearing chopines. I'm not sure where they came from, but they started wearing them in Venice. In the 16th century, one visitor complained that it seemed as if the country was populated by walking maypoles. And this is 18th century ladies' shoes from England. And the heels are about 3 inches tall. And this is a gentleman's shoe. It allowed him to boost his height a full 6 inches. Unfortunately, he probably wasn't able to walk without a cane. I'm all about comfort with my shoes now. I used to wear heels a lot. This is a vintage record book page. That's the back part of those shoes we saw at the beginning. And on the back cover, we again have a double pocket. And this came from an old catalog or magazine, and this is a pretty little lady walking along the shore, and she's got some cute little shoes on. That was in one of the shoe books. So this one is called Stride, and then the second one is called Footprints. I took that out of one of the books. This one has a different upholstery fabric, which is just as beautiful. And it has a gold fringe and a Mrs. Coggs image and some lace behind it and crochet, just a lot of different pieces. And then this piece came from Sheila. I put some lace on the edge here. We have a double pocket. Here's the other journal card I made with the Tim Holtz worn wallpaper. This is an antique piece. And then this is from the book Where Will This Shoe Take You? And it's the cover of The Surprising Adventures of Puss in Boots. A cat wearing shoes. I like this image here. I'm not sure if that was Old Design Shop or Mrs. Coggs. If you look under the table at any dinner party, most women will have kicked their shoes off. Diego de Laval. Some stitching there. Again, I added these shoes to a piece of vellum to make a pocket. This is from my shop, and instead of cutting those two pieces apart, I made them into a book with some leftover coffee-dyed paper as the pages. Here's the Japanese fashion book, and there's a little card here, which is from the Old Design Shop, and I made it into a pocket and tucked this in from Mrs. Coggs. For poor and working class people around the world, shoes have often been an unaffordable luxury. In 1748, English workmen's shoes were studded with heavy hobnails in the sole and metal horseshoes at the heels, so that the shoes would last as long as possible. And little wonder, a pair of shoes at the time cost a workman nearly half a month's wages. There's a little boot that I turned into a paper clip and added this from my shop. This piece of stationery actually turned into two. I had two together and I didn't even realize it till after the book was sewn together. So you get a bonus sheet. There's that old measuring tape again. The letters are almost worn, or numbers are almost worn off. And I made a little tuck spot here from an image from my shop. It's from one of the books. I clipped out the title, the top of the page heading, Shoes and Status. This is Mrs. Coggs. It's actually a Degas ballerina painting. Sorry about that. And another piece of that stationery. This one has a bulb pin and a charm on it. This is from my shop. We got gloves on this side. This one's from mine, this tall one. And there's the shoe store again with the man helping the boy try on his shoes. There's a charm here and a sticker. There's some tall boots. These are the boots that were worn by Abraham Lincoln on the night he was assassinated. At 6 feet 4 inches, Lincoln towered over most men of his day. A British visitor in 1861 described the president as a tall, lank, lean man with stooping shoulders, long pendulous arms terminating in hands of extraordinary dimensions. Let's see if I can read the rest of that. Where's that page? Oh. Which, however, were far exceeded in proportion by his feet. Lincoln's feet, measuring size 14, were very big for his day. He was flat-footed and slightly pigeon-toed. So I thought this was funny. He eagerly shucked off his boots when he worked at the White House. His habit of flip-flopping about in carpet slippers astonished visiting dignitaries who could not imagine the chief executive going bootless. Even Mrs. Lincoln's nagging had no effect. It wasn't long before some wags in Washington dubbed Lincoln diplomat in carpet slippers. There's a little boot. This is part of my digitals. I cut that and made it into a paper clip. And here's that other soul-shaped list of word, foot and shoe phrases. This is Mrs. Coggs, and this is from a book. And the word piece here from that book of words are shoe black, shoehorn, and shoemaker. There's a pair of slippers that I made into a paper clip. If you look inside any well-worn shoe, you see indentations left by the owner's toes and concave hollows worn smooth by the heel. The scarred sole of the shoe is evidence of the posture, gait, and number of miles traveled by its owner. Nancy Rexford, The Speaking Shoe. This is the back of that wrapping paper with the pretty ladies on it. And then there's a piece of that vellum that looks like it has pressed flowers. There is a workman's shoes painted by Van Gogh, I believe, and you can see the hobnails in the heel, which we read about. Fashionable American women walk in the middle of winter with their poor little toes pinched into miniature slipper, incapable of excluding as much moisture as might bedew a primrose. Francis Milton Trollope. I glued this on as a little tuck. Inserted that little card for journaling. Again, you have 2 stationery pages here. There's this cute little shoe that's part of my shop, my digital, and this is actually from the Antique Magazine catalog. The shoes that are in my shop, I think all of them, at least most of them, came from the 1912 National Cloak and Suit Company, and I loved the pages of shoes. There's a shoe there. And on this side you can see the shoes here, but on the rest of the page I put one of those record pages from a vintage book and just a shoe image. And then we have a double pocket again. This is from my shop. It was a longer piece. It had 2 more shoes attached to it. This is from that museum book. And you can journal on the back. I sewed some coffee-dyed paper. And then this is from the Where Will This Shoe Take You book of these Victorian little girls with these tiny little shoes. Their feet look impossibly small. And this goes with this. Here is the caption that was here. Fussy bustles, fancy hats, and impossibly tiny high-button boots made athletic activity impossible for young girls, shown in this 1889 issue of Supplement to Young Ladies' Journal. Oh, so this doesn't go with that. I put the quote on the back. This is something different. In addition to displaying wealth, shoes have been used to declare political affiliations. In France, in the 18th century, high-heeled buckled shoes were the rage until the French Revolution began in the late 1780s. When the guillotine picked up speed, chopping off heads of kings, queens, and nobility left and right, the wealthy who managed to survive began to wonder whether wearing conspicuous diamond shoe buckles was worth risking their necks. So when you see this video, these journals will have been listed in my shop. Stride is the one with the peachy pink shoe, and Footprints is the one with the ivory and black shoe. I hope you like these. I had a lot of fun making them. I also had images of shoes that were less vintage than those, although some were modern and some were retro, like from the 40s and 50s. So I had this fabric that didn't lend itself to those images. So I'm making another set of books. I'm currently working on these. I'm not doing videos with these because I'm just struggling and I just don't feel like making videos. But I'm giving you a peek. This is another file folder cover that I covered with this shoe fabric, and I already put this pretty pink plastic buckle that somebody sent me in a Happy Mail and added this sheer ribbon to it. And I have the pages done. I have to just sew them in. And then I'm doing a larger one with a spine hardcover book, and has 3 signatures. I put this spangly trim along the edge of the fabric. I actually bought specific fabric for this spine because I didn't have anything. With all the fabric I had nothing that pleased me for the theme, the colors, and the look of this book. So I found this fat quarter at Walmart, black and white polka dots. So that came home with me, and I love it. It's perfect on this book. And it will have 3 signatures. So I'm still working on this. Maybe, I'm hoping to get back on, I was hoping to today, that they would send that code today, because they said 48 hours, and it's been over 48 hours, so I have to talk to my daughter and see if she got anything. So I'm not sure if I'll be ready to put these in the shop at the time that I get back online, but it won't be long. I'll be done with these in a day or two, I'm sure. So thanks for watching. I hope things get back to normal real soon. Yeah, that's about all I have to say. I just hope I can get back to normal soon. And I will see you in the next video. Have a creative day today. Bye-bye.